briefly outshines the entire galaxy. The light of 1 billion suns distilled into one dying star.
It takes supernova light 1 million or even 1 billion years to get here. They're millions or billions of light years away. But they only shine for about a month. So we have this little tiny window to study these things before that light is gone forever.
In the workshop, Howell and his team are busy preparing their telescopes.
Pretty cool.
Ooh, that's bright.
We're building a network of telescopes so that we can study supernovae in greater numbers, in greater detail than we've ever been able to before. Let me show you the telescopes we're building. These are the 0.4 meter telescopes, and there are 4 of them here, and we're building them, 20 of them in total, and putting them all around the world. So some of these first ones will go to Chile. We have some in Hawaii already. So let me show you one of the bigger telescopes we're building here. Here we have the 1 meter telescope. We're building about 15. The mirror's not here yet, but this is where it's going to go. That will reflect the light we gather from the supernova. We have to be able to point anywhere in the sky. And so you can see that the telescope pivots along this axis and the C-ring moves. The great thing about this kind of observing is that it's totally robotic, and I can just sit here in Santa Barbara and have a beer and pizza while the telescopes do their work. All new discoveries about supernovae from all different places in the universe.
Once they've caught the light of a dying star, the detective work begins.
We collect that light and we analyze it in great detail in order to determine what's going on. What's the chemical makeup of the star? What's the pressure inside? What's the temperature? What kind of nuclear reactions are going on? How does a star explode? All of these things we figured out through the analysis of light.
Astronomers deduce that only stars with a huge mass go out with a bang.
A massive star has a very interesting and vigorous life. Initially, it fuses hydrogen to form helium, and that produces energy. That makes the star shine. Then the ashes of that reaction, the helium, fuse together to form carbon and oxygen, releasing yet more energy. Then the carbon and oxygen can fuse into still heavier elements, magnesium and sodium and neon and things like that. And then silicon and sulfur, and finally iron.
When it starts to make iron, the giant star is doomed. In the core, a fierce battle takes place. Energy pushes outwards, holding it up, while gravity wants to crush it inwards. The battle continues as the star makes heavier and heavier elements, producing energy while fending off total collapse. But once it starts to form iron, the battle is lost.
Fusion of iron nuclei into heavier things does not release energy, it absorbs energy. So an iron core builds up, but finally it becomes so massive that gravity wins. The iron core collapses. In less than a second, the outer layers collapse inward, then rebound and get blown to smithereens.
But from this death comes new life.
We're at a foundry here, and they're pouring molten iron from old machinery, and they're going to make parts for new machines out of that iron. So they're recycling it. But all that iron was created and ejected into the cosmos by gigantic stars that exploded as supernovae. Those explosions created the iron, ejected it into the cosmos, and then it got incorporated into planetary systems like ours. But ultimately, the atoms of iron were created by exploding stars.
Supernovas are the industrial zones of our star city. Cosmic foundries that forge new elements. In catastrophic explosions, heavy elements are spewed out into our galaxy, enriching it over billions of years.
So if some stars were not to explode in the industrial zones of galaxies like our Milky Way, then we wouldn't have these industrial zones here on Earth. It all is linked. We're all linked to the cosmos.
Our lives today are only possible because of events that happened thousands of millions of years ago in the hearts of supernovas.
It's fascinating to realize that the heavy elements in our bodies, the carbon in our cells, the calcium in our bones, the oxygen that we breathe, the iron in our red blood cells, all of those heavy elements were synthesized, created through nuclear reactions in stars, and ejected into the cosmos by supernovae.